Hey everybody, Sean from Media Assault here, and it's time once again for a movie review. This time out, it is The Legend of Tarzan, starring Alexander Skarsgard, Margot Robbie, and Christoph Waltz, and Samuel L. Jackson. When I heard about this movie coming out, I was a little bit skeptical, mainly because I was a big fan of the Tarzan character when I was a kid. I grew up on old TV showings of the movies from the 30s and 40s with Johnny Weissmuller. The 1960s TV show with Ron Ely was in syndication when I was a kid. DC Comics had their version of Tarzan in the 70s. So I really had a lot of time invested in this character when I was a kid. I loved Tarzan. Just the idea of a boy raised by apes who grew up to be the guardian of the jungle and its animals. Plus, as a bonus, he's a member of the aristocracy and he's got riches to burn. Just very cool. So I was a little skeptical when the new film came out, just because I didn't think that they would be able to do it justice. And track records with older characters being rebooted, like the Lone Ranger and John Carter of Mars, the Shadow, the Spirit, all of these older characters, they just don't seem to make it or translate too well in today's world. Or if they do, they're changed a lot so they don't really represent what the character stood for. So with that said, I went in with a little bit of skepticism, and unfortunately the movie is a bit of a mess, but it's very hard to pin down why it's a mess. First of all, the acting and the performances really are top-notch. I cannot fault Alexander Skarsgard's interpretation of Tarzan. He's fantastic. Margot Robbie as Jane Porter, she's great. She's very feisty and spunky. Just all around, Samuel L. Jackson is Samuel L. Jackson, and I think the role that he plays was written specifically for Samuel L. Jackson. Christoph Waltz is very cartoony as Leon Rom, who is the villain in the film. And I'm not going to give away any of the plot or anything, but what I will say is that I think the main problems I have with this movie are the editing, the cinematography, which is weird because the cinematography is beautiful until you realize it looks digital. It looks like we're seeing a lot of computer-rendered plains, and by plains I mean like open field plains, like the plains of Africa, not airplanes. It just looks phony. There's at least one scene where it was very obvious that characters are standing in what is supposed to be a tree, and it's very obvious that it's green screen. It's superimposed in the background. It's computerized. All of the animals are digital. They're CGI, which is weird because this movie cost, I think, $180. It's a little more than that. $180 million to make, and the CGI just looks really kind of funky, in a bad way. It looks kind of cheesy, almost like 1990s CGI, or almost as bad in places as like Sci-Fi Channel CGI. So it's really awkward. But the performances are great. So you mix these great performances in with this chintzy-looking film, and the editing is weird because there's a lot of flashbacks to the past, and then we go forward to the present day, and I think they're having problems trying to let people know that Tarzan / John Clayton has this dual role. He's the jungle warrior, but he's also John Clayton III, Lord Greystoke. And I don't think the editing and the directing and the storytelling mesh that well. So for me, it was kind of a letdown. Great performances. Again, I can't stress that enough. Everybody is in top form. It's just that they're let down by the script. The cinematography, the editing, and the directing, I think, are just a mess. There are action scenes that are hard to follow and confusing, and then because of the way they take place in the film, you're not really sure what the importance is supposed to be. So it's just really kind of a mess. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Really kind of pains me to say that because I really wanted to like this movie. I wanted Tarzan to be reinvented for a modern audience, but this just isn't it. So I am going to watch tonight I'm going to rewatch Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes, and I'm going to review this in the future. So we'll see how the current Tarzan matches up to 1984's version of Tarzan. So there you go. That's my review of The Legend of Tarzan. As always, feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Take it easy.